at the time of writing this, Iron Man 3 has been out for most of the world, but America has yet to see the spectacle of explosions, sarcasm, and Robert Downing Jr. swinging around his big, throbbing ego. So I'm here to tell you what to expect, and if you have watched it, well, just keep watching so I can tell you what to think of the movie and whether you like it or not. Let's take a step back and look at what Iron Man 3 is at its core. It is a superhero movie, and as we all know, when it comes to superhero movies, there are only a couple of fixed themes the writers can choose from, because it seems like if they pick anything else, they're afraid someone's going to smack them across the face with a giant dildo, something equally as terrifying. Since this is the third installment, they can't really use the whole origin of the superhero theme, so that's one option they can't really use on the Wheel of Fortune they used to pick the bloody things. For this particular movie, the needle happened to land on superhero loses his superpower and has to triumph over the dilemma as a mere mortal, after which he regains said superpower and kicks ass. The dilemma in this case being, wait for it, rescuing his girlfriend and the president, but no one really cares about the president, so of course there has to be conflict between said girlfriend and our protagonist over the fact that he's a superhero, since, well, being a superhero kind of puts a damper on his social life. So that when he does rescue her, she has to live with the fact that he's a superhero, and forgive him and stuff. Man, this movie really reminds me of something. I just can't place my finger on what. Tony Stark even has this great looming problem that follows him around through half the movie, like a plague that strikes him down intermittently. And while this is supposed to put the protagonist in a wounded warrior's shoes and draw sympathy from the viewer, I find it very, very, very difficult to do so. Let me try and explain why. Taking an example from other superhero movies, Spider-Man 3 had this bit where he had to overcome his inner evils to succeed, and Batman had to get over a slightly rearranged spinal column. Do you know what Tony Stark had to overcome? Do you know what were the dark, staggering adversities Tony Stark had to beat down to rise and reclaim his superpowers? Flipping anxiety attacks. Really? Anxiety attacks? I find it hard to sympathize with any superhero that can go head-to-head against a Norse god but is reduced to a frail and feeble pussy at the hands of the dreaded anxiety attacks. So Iron Man 3, not only did it fail to come up with a purely original theme, but what it did try and impersonate, it did poorly, and with a badly made fake moustache and a silly looking hat. I really like the villain though. Here's a little checklist I made for what I see in a good villain. Vision and an evil plan, check. Reason to want to punch the protagonist in the nuts, check. Diabolical and slightly insane, check. Named after a type of orange, check. Oh, and he can breathe fire. I did, however, think they could have set up the guy and established him on a firmer platform. Sure, he had reason to want to punch Iron Man in the nuts, but if you sleep with your friend's mum, your friend is going to want a better reason than, you left me hanging, bro. And there needed to be more fire breathing, because that was just so cool. Breathing fire. There is a certain misdirection involved with the villain, which is a really nice touch. When the movie started and they showed the generic Middle Eastern warlord calling the United States infidels, I was very disheartened. What is up with the US and their fetish for portraying the whole Middle East and Russia as inherently evil? You already did that with the first two movies. Move on already. But it actually was a quite clever little ploy which I didn't expect, so I did enjoy that part of the movie. Something I did find implausible was Tony Stark's finesse at being a hero without his suit. At one point in the movie, he goes around Mission Impossible style, disarming baddies and incapacitating them like a goddamn ninja. Where did he learn to be a ninja? That's Batman, you silly. You're getting your superheroes mixed up. But then towards the end of the movie, he suddenly becomes an 11-year-old girl next to Colonel Rhodes and stumbles around with none of that finesse he had earlier. Where's the damn consistency? The last thing I'd like to touch upon before I conclude this review is the Iron Man suit. From the first movie, we've established that it's probably not terribly difficult to make one, since he made one in a cave. But Iron Man 3 shows us that Iron Man suits are easier to assemble than goddamn Lego. There are 50 Iron Man suits in the movie. I understand that Tony Stark is super genius and stuff, but if he can just make an Iron Man suit out of freaking Lego, how come nobody else has done it? Is everyone who is not Tony Stark a freaking monkey? And where does he keep them all? In his basement? Also, having 50 Iron Man suits really reduces the impact they have. The suit gives you power on par with a god, for heaven's sake. Towards the end of the movie, he's just jumping out one and into another of the blasted things. Oh, and add fireworks to the list of features that comes with the Iron Man suit. Who gave him that brilliant idea? Fireworks? Really? At this point, you probably think I'm a nutter because I didn't like Iron Man 3. But the thing is, I did like Iron Man 3. Sure, the story's a bit weak, but the explosions were really cool. The final fight scene was really well choreographed. And really, how can you hate a movie that stars your imaginary boyfriend? Oh my god, Robert Downey Jr. is just so dreamy. I just think that with a solid start with the first Iron Man movie and the superhero being, well, Iron Man, I think they could have pulled the sequel off with a little bit more grace.